Well, good day everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the back patio room. It's getting close to springtime, and the light's nice out here. A couple weeks ago I received another letter in the mail. I'm a typewriter correspondent, and I use TypePals to connect with other typists around the world. And a person sent me a letter typed on construction paper. Now, I don't know if you guys know, well, if you're in the US, you probably know what construction paper is. Not really sure what they call it in other countries, but this is one particular brand of construction paper. Letter size paper in the US is 8.5 by 11 inches, but construction paper, like a lot of art papers, comes typically 9 inches by 12 inches, closer to A4 size. Let's see, A4 size is actually 8 inches by 12 inches. So this is like an inch wider on the narrow end than A4, but it's the same length. So what is construction paper? Well, typically it comes in various colors. It's thicker paper, it's more fibrous. It's not really acid-free, it's probably a lower grade of paper. But it's typically used by kids, in crafting and things. They cut out the paper and they do all kinds of stuff with it. Construction paper's been around for a long time. Well, if you've been watching my channel anytime, you know that I have talked about typing paper over the years, various kinds of typing paper. The most common kind of paper that people use for typing on is copy paper or your basic printer paper. This kind of paper comes in various weights. 20 pound, 24 pounds, sometimes you can get it in 30-pound paper. Generally, it's made for two different applications. One of those is inkjet printing. So inkjet printers put microscopic size liquid droplets of ink onto the paper. So the paper needs to have a surface finish, a sizing that will absorb the droplets without letting them bleed too far into the paper. And then the other application of copy paper is literally copying, is xerography, which is also the same or similar process that laser printers use. They lay down an electrostatic image of what's needing to be printed, and then this fine toner powder sticks to that image, and then it goes through a fuser bar that heats up the toner and fuses it into the paper. So xerography and laser printing is a different process entirely from inkjet printing, and the two kinds of applications really kind of require, to get the best results, their own specialty paper. So you'll see papers designed for laser printing, and then you'll see papers more generally for inkjet printing. Well, in the old days of typewriters, cloth typewriter ribbons used an oil-based ink. These days, if my understanding is correct, they're using more like a glycerin-based ink, but it's similar to oil-based. And so the properties of typewriter ink to adhere well, to transfer well onto the paper from the ribbon may not be as well on some kinds of papers as others, and it's something we've had to experiment with over time. I know some copy papers just don't seem to take typewriter ink as well. The printing just looks a little lighter than it should. I have used in the past, I've had a lot of fun using newsprint paper. This is kind of like a light gray paper. It's low quality, it's not acid free, but it is thinner and kind of more flexible than copy paper, and it reminds me a lot of typing papers from the past. Now, in the legacy days of typewriters, of course, typing paper, there were different kinds. You had the thin kind of papers, there were thicker kinds, and there was also very thin kinds of papers, airmail papers, onion skin papers, and those kind of things, as well as the caressable or erasable papers that had kind of a waxy coating. The typewriter ink would take to it, but not super dark, and then you could erase it with a rubber eraser. So I like newsprint paper. I think in some ways it works better than some copy papers as far as taking the ink. And then we also have the higher end papers, what I call generally resume paper. And the best known brand, at least that I know of, is Southworth. And this happens to be their 24 pound, which is 90 grams per square meter, ivory wove finish paper. This is nice paper, but it is certainly more expensive, but it does take typewriter ink pretty well. Well, when I got that letter in the mail typed onto construction paper, I remembered that I had this pack of colored construction paper in my paper bin. So I broke it out and I had some orange paper that I cut down to size and I tested it. And it looks like it takes the ink pretty well. The top part of the printing, the top paragraph is from my Royal KMM. And then the bottom part is from my Underwood Olivetti Studio 44. So you can see two slightly different looks to it, different sizes of typeface. Anyways, I was kind of encouraged by the darkness of the imprint. It looks like this construction paper takes the ink quite well. So I've typed at least one letter, maybe two letters already using the construction paper. And what I've done is I have taken the 9 by 12 inch sheet of construction paper and I have cut it in half to make 6 by 9 paper. And I happen to be making my own envelopes these days that are intended initially to be used with taking a US letter size paper, cutting it in half, and folding those in half. These envelopes I made are wide enough, they will take the 6 by 9 construction paper halves, folded in half of course, so I can still use the same envelopes. But what I noticed in this pack of construction paper that I had, colored paper, a couple of the sheets were white. And I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And then I remembered, oh, I think I bought a pack of white construction paper at some time in the past. So I went looking and yep, sure enough, and you saw the introduction to this video, I unboxed it, opened up that pack, and so, hey, I have a whole pack of white construction paper. It's thicker than normal copy paper, normal typing paper, but it's flexible. It goes into the typewriter pretty well. It's not as stiff as cardstock, but it's probably at least, I don't know if there's a weight to this, 30 pounds maybe per square inch. It doesn't really say on this. I'm interested in using now this construction paper as a typing paper going forward for a while. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be cutting down these sheets of paper and typing with them. And this reminds me that I like the idea of exploring new kinds or different kinds of papers to use with typewriters. The challenge, of course, being that with legacy typewriters, we often have the problem of the rubber platen roller is hard. And we are fortunate here in the United States to have a company like J.J. Short who can offer the service of recovering the platens with fresh rubber. I understand there might be a company in Europe somewhere that is starting up to do that same thing. So one of the things I had discovered a few years ago was that using a backing sheet of paper helps with a hard platen, but especially using construction paper as a backing paper worked really well. I think it's the best that I've found as far as backing papers. But now that I'm typing on construction paper, I'm finding that it kind of functions like its own backing paper, right? It's thicker than most papers, still flexible, goes through the machine real easy, takes the ink really well. So I really don't see any downside to using it thus far, but this is my ongoing experiment as a typewriter hobbyist, is exploring new kinds of papers. So I get a letter in the mail, they're using construction paper, and instantly I'm thinking, construction paper. Well, you know, the challenge if you buy the colored packs is that not all of the colors are light enough. Yellows and oranges, yeah, but usually anything darker than that is not really going to work well on a typewriter. So that's why it's nice to have the white construction paper. And if I find some of it online, I'll leave a link down below for you guys to look at. But in the meantime, I just want to encourage you to get your typewriter out and explore using different kinds of paper besides just copy paper. Newsprint paper is fun. Construction paper is certainly fun. And I want to encourage you to do that. And as always, stay creative and have yourselves a great day. And bye-bye for now.